Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back. It is episode 3 of season 2 of the Cobra Kai After Show here on AfterBuzz TV. I got one question for you. Would you rather break ice with your hands or burning bricks? We're going to answer that question for you and more. We'll see you guys in just one quick second.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Boom! Back!
We're here.
I think we got to be totally honest with the audience as far as the taping schedule of what's going on here, because it's a binge show, so this is so unique. We all got in last night for the first 2 episodes.
Yep.
Drove home, drove right back here after watching 5 more hours of Cobra Kai.
How late were you up till last night?
Like 3:15,
Yeah.
3:30.
So you were up. I could have texted you.
Yeah. I mean, I watched 8 episodes from the time I got home. I started like 10:15.
Yeah.
And just because it's a binge show, it just came out. We wanted to be able to cover every episode so these could go up, because obviously, normally an after show is weekly.
Yep.
If we wait, to 10 weeks, no one's going to care. We want people to really watch these with us.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not going to care in 10 weeks.
Yeah.
So we had to go do this. So I am just full of Cobra Kai, trying to
Oh my
keep all the
God.
episodes straight. Luckily, we have these wonderful outlines like professionals.
Yes.
And there's a lot to talk about.
There is.
So episode 3, this one is titled Fire and Ice, and starts with some real comedy. But before we get into all the great comedy, I do want to introduce my panel here. I got Michael Clouse on the end of the table.
Hey, what is up, everyone? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on what time you're listening to us morning here, but we're excited you're joining us.
I got Tami Goveia,
Hey everyone, thank you for joining.
and I am Ben Bateman. Excited to talk about Cobra Kai, so let's talk about the discovery of the internet.
Oh my living word. What was the phrase?
And send it to the internet!
Send it to the internet. Get that commercial done and send it to the internet. Oh my God.
It was pretty funny. He's a pretty wonderful character. I'm like just finding more and more and
Yeah.
more, and I find him to be a pretty relatable character too.
Yeah.
There's moments in later episodes where I'm like, I know this guy. Like I've known this guy in my life.
You know,
and
there's such an innocence to him. There's a naivete to him. Like when
Yeah.
he says his disconnect from the internet and things like that, he's just so appealing and so genuine.
You're
Yeah.
almost jealous. You're like, I wish I was almost this connected and involved in my life and not involved in everyone else's lives.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I would say that this episode is the one where you start to get the clearest sense of who he is.
Yes.
There's a scene we'll talk about in just a minute here with him and Miguel, but this episode starts with kind of the advertisement of their 2 dojos. And so, this whole comedy sequence with him buying a computer and searching for hot babes. I love the stuff he was searching for. Iron Eagle, hot babes. I was like... And I remember using the internet for the first time, like a search bar, like probably in 1997 or something like that.
Probably.
Something like that. Like the first time my buddy and I were like, what should we search for? We were like 12 years old or something like that. And it's like totally exactly what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's like, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Wet t-shirt contest.
He's like a kid in a candy store. It's like, what else can I find?
Yeah.
Oh,
That
man.
was awesome.
It was pretty wonderful. So, so he sees this Miyagi-Do commercial. Some things that were really great about this. The cultural appropriation comments that LaRusso mentions. I mean, we're all in the media space, so we're so familiar with that type of thing, that type of issue, whether it's warranted or not, just comments on the internet. And if you are unfamiliar with that, how jarring it can be. Like, oh no, I'm a bad person. Thanks, YouTube comments.
Yeah, there's a lot, even throughout this, there's a lot of times where you laugh and you're like, should I be laughing? And this is really pushing an 80s view.
Yeah.
And do you think that the directors and creators wanted that of pushing back almost on today's culture of that it's really PC?
Well, they have to a little bit because obviously less ass kissing, more ass kicking is a point of view in this show.
And how many times do they say stop being a pussy?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my living word. They give pussies a bad name.
So I mean, definitely they lean into that a little bit, and I think they kind of have to because while I think on one level they are trying to show us that that's outdated. On the other hand, I think they're trying to show us that there was a purity and an innocence that sort of teenage culture from that time.
And we've almost gone to an extreme today.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that we've gone to an extreme today. I don't want to speak on specifically where I think that falls, but just the comment that people like to say is that we live in a culture of outrage, and sometimes it feels like it's justified. Oftentimes it just feels like people just like to get pissed.
They just want something to tweet about.
Right, people just like to get pissed, and you look at someone's Twitter feed when they're furious about something one day, it's just gone the next day.
Yeah.
They just don't care.
Yep.
And I think that there is a little bit of a point of view in the show that tries to make light of that a little bit.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
like-
In a good way too. I think they really accomplished that.
yeah.
There's a balance.
Definitely. So we see the Miyagi-Do commercial, and Daniel is getting full. There's so much at the end of the season that I want to talk
I
about.
know, it's hard.
It's tough.
It's hard when you watch 5 hours of a show in one sitting. But this kind of starts to set the stage, and so Daniel's trying to come up with how's he going to demonstrate his dojo. He wants to make a commercial, and basically declares war on Cobra Kai by making this kind of racist commercial, But he takes a dig at him. We're not snakes,
Yeah.
It's free.
Snakes in the
it's free.
grass.
That's the point.
Yeah.
and all that stuff, which kind of which keys this Valley Fest competition.
Yes.
This is like a thing, I guess, like the Valley Fest. The idea that like a regional, local like festival would be like
Yeah.
attended by
Carnival kind
everyone
of
in the
thing.
local town.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. How big was the town you grew up in?
I grew up in Seattle, like proper.
Oh yeah, okay. And how
San
big?
Francisco, the city.
See, I grew up in a town of 1,200 people. We had the Corn Fest.
Yeah. There
So
you go.
it was like $2 all you could eat sweet corn.
Okay.
I mean, it was fantastic. Loyal, Wisconsin. Look it up if you ever want a major vacation.
Isn't sweet corn like? Just explain what that is really quickly, because
Sweet corn is basically corn that is edible for like human, that tastes good for humans, where like you have corn that is for cattle, which is just more bland.
Yeah.
Sweet corn is actually, you can just go eat it, and it's the corn you get at the grocery store.
Oh, okay.
It literally
that's
says
sweet.
sweet corn on it,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
the corn you buy at the grocery store on the cob.
Oh, that's not. I was thinking of
Yeah.
something else. What's the thing that's like all with like they're like the corn thing that
Cream of corn?
Yeah,
Cream of corn?
Maybe
Cream of corn is in a can.
No, there's something else. Like cheese and corn, and it's all together, and
Oh,
it's.
that's
Corn
called-
casseroles?
It's called nacho dip.
Okay, never mind. For a second there, I thought you were going to enlighten me. Like, this is just like sweet tea is like not a thing I grew up
Yeah.
with. I thought you were going to tell me the sweet tea of corn.
No. So yeah, so this is actually a thing where you have town festivals, and of course, usually, I mean, it's totally. I bought along with it. The car dealership sponsor said, "Oh, you're trying to get business,"
Yeah.
and then everything that they're doing here of like, "Oh, why don't we also do Miyagi-Do as a demonstration?" And like totally something that would happen.
So you were like, you related to this.
I was like,
100%.
yeah, I can definitely
interesting.
see this growing up. This is a festival, get everyone together.
Okay.
100%.
I love that. That's so different than my experience. The idea that I would even see anyone I know at something like this would be like so surprising from where I
Yeah.
grew up. So they decide that they're going to both advertise their dojos, and Johnny is like, I love that Johnny's commercial, by the way. He just doesn't hold back at all, and none of his students are like, you can't say "don't be a pussy" in your commercial. Like, you can't say that.
It's
Doesn't work.
and it's literally just someone holding up an
I know.
tracking on an iPhone, which is, I mean, if you compared the two commercials, Johnny's was significantly better.
Right. I mean, his presentation's way better anyway.
Significantly better for 1% of the cost, because
Yeah.
apparently Danny's commercial was half their marketing
Yeah.
budget.
Well, that's the funny thing, right? And like that's another part of sort of we all live in like the social media culture where
Yeah.
it's like we all recognize the difference between something polished and something that's a little more homegrown.
Yep.
But very often that homegrown thing will capture some like element of magic that the polished
Absolutely.
thing won't, and it will be way more successful
Yep,
on
it's
the
just
internet.
organic and real and authentic, and that's what people buy into.
Yeah, it's even on social media.
Yeah.
Companies now for like stories, if they're promoting on stories, they purposely won't shoot it high quality because your brain will recognize that it's an ad.
Yeah.
And so they'll shoot it low quality, so you'll be like, oh, maybe
That's
this is something that
fascinating.
my friend did.
Right.
Because otherwise you swipe right past.
Totally. Yeah, I know. It's like, and we're all, our eyes are all conditioned to pay attention to the same thing: the fastest, the pop, the sex appeal, whatever it is, and like that's what your eye goes to. So if you're looking like the Instagram feed, that's
Yep.
and so
Yes.
so I think that's funny that and they don't call him out on that. I also love that Daniel gets called out on his cultural appropriation, but Johnny doesn't get called out at all.
Not at all.
For being inappropriate. even
Daniel
remotely.
racist.
Yeah, it's so good. So this cuts to the realization that Miguel has that Robbie is Johnny's son, and it gives us this really, really good scene after the confrontation in the dojo where they're like, "We know," and he's like, "It's not your business." So then Johnny takes Miguel out to burgers. He has some of his lines in this show are just like there's like a real like class warfare element that they lean into more and more, and you actually get it in later episodes. But it's this real idea that he's like, for lack of a better word, kind of a hick. Like he's like they like really make it clear that he's like
He being
like,
Johnny.
He's
Yeah.
like insecure, didn't really come from money, never really evolved, like doesn't understand the world.
Yeah.
And so his line to Miguel, and he's like, it's just a hot grill and some quality chuck. And it's like that. it's true, but it's like the person who says that out loud is somebody who like thinks that that's something really special, and that's him. That's him to a T.
But Johnny's mother married into money.
Well, yeah,
right?
but
I mean,
he
didn't grow up with it, but
Johnny,
he did have that.
Johnny had it growing up, but then it seems, and they haven't talked about this a whole lot. I mean, they've obviously brought it back in with Ed Asner's character, obviously being the dad, and it almost seems like it's separated in the 20s, and something happened with the mom.
Yeah.
We don't exactly know yet, and there was a separation in the 20s, whether on Johnny's end or whether that's on his dad's end.
Yeah. Yeah, so he definitely, and that's he loses his way, and he ends up becoming. I mean, I don't know if it loses his way. He just ends up becoming the person that he is.
Yeah.
And so this conversation that he has with Miguel, though, at the burger joint, probably to this point in the season, and maybe even to this point in the show, my favorite Johnny LaRusso moment.
Oh yeah, I mean, it
Why?
was touching.
Well, first of all, I thought it was really quality acting. I think Billy Zabka's a really good actor. I think he's the best actor on the show. Like, I
would agree with that.
I genuinely feel like in his scenes, I like believe him. I feel for him the most. He has like sold me on his character, not in a way that like Ralph hasn't, but like Johnny's character is a really compelling character that doesn't feel like a TV character. He feels like, again, somebody I would know. He would be like the guy that works at the store I go to all the time, who I start having conversations with, and he's like sells TVs at Best Buy or something like that. And you're like, what's your life about? And he's like, well, this is kind of my life. And you're like, oh, you're like a fully fleshed out person.
He has the biggest ceiling and the lowest floor.
Yeah.
And that is what keeps you intrigued, is you're like, is he going to fall down to that floor, or is he going to majorly break through that ceiling?
And he really takes the time with the moments, you know, when he's having that burger with Miguel and he's talking about Robbie being born across the
And
street.
they look over.
Oh my gosh, yeah, and you could see the tears welling up.
Yeah.
He really
Yeah.
takes his time with telling the story and feeling it all.
Well, he also has the line earlier, in the minute those tears leave your eyes, you lose. And I think that that's actually a Crease line in the flashback.
Yeah.
But, like, you know that that's what he's been trained with. And you can see the tears are welling up. So he's really being vulnerable with Miguel. Like, they're buddies. Their bromance is pretty special.
Yeah.
It's really good. But I loved this scene, and I loved that he says to him, I'll always have your best interest at heart. I'll always have your back. It's just awesome. Like, he's just great. I was really buying into his character here. So this cuts to Valley Fest, the double demonstration. Cobra Kai just steals the show.
Oh my gosh.
Did you guys like the Miyagi-Do demonstration?
It fit well for what the festival was.
Yeah.
And then I couldn't be mad at Cobra Kai, obviously.
Cobra Kai, Cobra Kai, Cobra Kai.
And you come in and part of me is like, okay, where do you get all that stuff? Like, where did you get the fireworks and the flames and all that kind of stuff? But it was an amazing demonstration.
Yeah.
Like, this I see as more of Miyagi-Do coming in unprepared than I see Cobra Kai stealing the show.
Well, and I think too, Miyagi-Do, they didn't understand what's going to capture people's attention. I mean, Miyagi-Do is beautiful, and it's peaceful, and it's meditative. But if you're looking to recruit people, that's not how you got to do it.
Well, it's very idealistic by LaRusso to do that, because he doesn't think about the fact that, okay, like, I can have this idea to just like use Valley Fest because I have money and platform and I'm like sponsoring it, so I can have this idea and it's my idea. But like, first of all, maybe he didn't know he was going to get usurped right there by Cobra Kai, but who's to say Cobra Kai wouldn't just steal the idea and do it better at the next one, because they're just and that just he didn't think about that, which is like a little, again, like I said this yesterday on episode 2, it's a little bit of TV writing to put him in that position, because he's a pretty smart guy. So I don't think he would have missed that as easily.
I think he's really playing the long game.
Yeah.
And he has the money to do so. Whereas Johnny realizes he has to literally pay the bills for tomorrow and then the next day. So every day is a something that has to be big. Whereas Danny is like, oh, well, I'll give it a week. I can give it a month. I know this dojo is going to slowly grow. I believe.
I can be patient and let them come to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I love Cut to Crease. More sparks. He's so good. But Johnny wins fully. He wins
100%.
Like, this is like a big victory for Cobra Kai here.
And as the ice melts.
As the ice melts, and he
Miyagi-Do
smashes,
melts, yes.
he smashes the cement.
Yes.
The cement.
On fire.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Irrelevant.
Great. How many people are socialing out that type of moment?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, that basically wraps up episode 3, give or take. So at this point in the show, again, I've been asking this at the end of every episode, where are you? Are you rooting for Johnny? You're rooting for Daniel? Do you feel bad for Daniel that he kind of lost the battle on this one?
I don't. I was really happy that this episode, so the first 2 episodes of this season, kind of talked about their own competitions like almost separately. This episode for the first time was head-to-head. And you saw that. And I'm interested to find out moving forward in future episodes how much head-to-head there will be. Will there be more head-to-head? Will we literally see, as opposed to what we've seen all along, was you see Danny at his dojo, you see Johnny at his dojo. Will you actually see them out in public together? Will you see them competing face-to-face confrontation?
Yeah.
And I was thinking this was the first time that I started to worry about Daniel and how he was going to attract folks.
Yeah.
Because thus far, Cobra Kai's got it.
Totally.
They've cornered it with the personality, with the energy, with everything. And Daniel's just kind of out on the limb and out to the sides, and he's not used to that. Mm-hmm. He's used to the spotlight and being in control.
Right. Yeah. He's totally like. It's funny to think about more and more as you watch the season who is occupying each role. Now we'll talk about him a little bit in later episodes, but it's like I wouldn't have seen Hawk as the greatest villain of the show. Kind of feels like he becomes the greatest villain.
Yep.
Early though, it does actually feel like Daniel is more the villain. He really does. They don't, and it's kind of unwavering too,
and
right?
that's what makes the show so brilliant.
Yeah.
Because you never would have thought going into watching Cobra Kai that Daniel would be a villain of sorts ever.
Yeah, 100%. So I think I'm totally on board with the Johnny storyline. You know, I don't trust Kreese here as far as I can throw him.
Kreese is just...
He's creepy.
He is like
creepy.
Just the whole look, everything. I mean, the specific shadows on the face, the whole way they portray him is awesome.
Yeah, totally. So the last thing we didn't reference here, and it'll become more evident, is the new student recruitment. And these kids show up to Miyagi-Do, and he's like, paint my fence. They're just like, you're a joke. I'm not going to paint your fence. And it does kind of remind you a little bit that we're also accustomed to like the metaphoric lessons of the Karate Kid, but that, you know, like they are novel. And if you're a kid, that sounds terrible.
Oh yeah.
You want to do the Cobra Kai thing.
Yeah,
it
badass
looks cool.
stuff.
Yeah, you don't want to paint a fence or sand a deck, you know? No way. I would have totally said what those kids said. 100%. So, anyways, that is going to wrap up our episode 3 recap, guys. Stay tuned. We have episode 4 coming up momentarily. If you want to follow along with our conversations, you can find Mr. Michael Clouse
at The Only MC on Instagram and on Twitter.
Tami Goveia, where
You
can
can find me on Twitter at Tami Goveia, on Instagram, Tami Goveia Official.
You guys can find me at Ben Bateman Media, Twitter and Instagram. And we interviewed the cast and creators of this show at Paley Fest. It's not Paley Fest, that a Paley Center thing. Tami and I got everybody. We got Billy Zabka, we got Ralph Macchio. You can go find those on the AfterBuzz TV Red Carpet and Events station channel. Subscribe to the channel and all actually AfterBuzz channels, because we are the ESPN of TV Talk.
ESPN of TV Talk. And it literally, I mean, we give so much content here. I mean,
and it's
hundreds
free.
of hours a week. And so go subscribe, tell a friend. It literally takes, I timed it the other day, 3 seconds to give 5 stars on a podcast. See if you can beat me. Try it in 2.5.
Yeah. Thanks for the support, guys. We'll see you in a second for episode 4.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.